Apostle, let me ask a question. You, as a deep thinker, an analyst, well-read, your knowledge, your understanding is one I deeply respect. What do you make out of Martin Luther King? Who is he? What was his life?
Martin Luther King, I'll say, was a prophet, because he spoke about a nation. He spoke about the direction of the world and where we were headed. And he saw through a visionary telescope a world in which white and black people could sit at the same table, a world in which a person was respected for the content of his character, not the color of his skin. And Martin Luther spoke about the future of the whole race. Because of that, I see him as a prophet. You know, he began, when you look at his gifts, he was somebody who could speak well. He was somebody who had compassion. He was one of maybe the first or second or third great intellect of his time. Yes. And so
even though he was a South Baptist preacher,
yes,
he was still more of a prophet, even in the civil rights movement.
As a civil leader of the civil rights movement, he was a prophet. He was a prophet, just like somebody who called Nelson Mandela a prophet.
So we shouldn't limit the callings of God in a church template kind of a thing.
No, I mean, if you look at Abraham, was not a pastor. Yes, Abraham was not a pastor. David was not a preacher in church. He was a king.
Yeah.
Solomon was a judge, a king, a statesman.
Yeah.
So Abraham, as I said, Abraham was not a pastor. So Martin Luther King, his ultimate destiny was not to be a preacher in the Southern Baptist movement, but he needed to go through the Southern Baptist movement to train himself. He chose a career in the preaching ministry, and in that era, the pulpit of the Southern Baptist Church, the Black Baptist Church, was the voice. That's where the voice of the black struggle was. Through the songs and the preaching of the church, that's where the black struggle, they found their voice. So going to be a preacher in the Southern Baptist Convention, it was like, I mean, just finding the best possible training ground to be a voice for justice and compassion and everything he stood for. It was just a perfect place. By choosing a career as a preacher, it allowed him to meet the people he was going to speak for. It allowed him to understand their struggles. He met the women, he met the men, he met the workers, all kinds of people.
One thing we can say we can learn from Martin Luther's life:
chart a course for your life that allows you to express your full self. If you don't live a life that is in sync with what you completely are, you will be lost at a point and feel like you've wasted your life. That is why people can work in some place, make a lot of money, but at the point they get into crisis, a moral crisis, because they can feel that God made me for more than this, and yet they are sitting in that corporate environment or somewhere else.